because you brought up constitutional carry.
Yeah.
And you've been a champion of having guns that have more. There's more. You've been a big champion of deregulating gun laws,
Mm-hmm.
and how far does the Second Amendment extend as far as what level of guns we can have? I guess to put that, how far do you want to take this? Where's the cutoff? Like grenade launchers, flamethrowers, tanks?
Well, one good place to think. I often think that if we have decided that a certain weapon is something that a civilian law enforcement agency can have, I think that,
which would include tanks now, right?
well, unfortunately,
Yeah.
I'm a very.
So we have to match up with the police.
Well, ideally, I think that we need to demilitarize our police.
So okay.
I'm very uncomfortable when I see you kind of have this situation where the federal government is taking excess weapons of war and giving it to local police departments, and we're really militarizing our police in a way that's very, very scary. So in some ways, I think you say kind of, if you have that as a frame of reference, it's almost a way to kind of keep a check on our civilian police forces from becoming militarized.
Which is another question with the way that the constitutional carry law is written as it stands right now. It says if an individual is carrying a concealed weapon without a permit, he or she has a duty when coming into contact with any law enforcement officer during a routine stop, detention, or arrest to immediately inform the law enforcement officer that the individual is carrying a concealed handgun. Now, based on the title of this thing, constitutional carry, with that clause in it, it seems as if it takes out the one part that makes it a constitutional
Yeah, and I will say
thing.
that was something that was attached by a Democrat member in the House, which I very much objected to. In fact, you heard two very progressive members of the House actually spoke very strongly on the floor against it. Representative Craig Hickman from Winthrop, and actually Representative Diane Russell from here in Portland.
So you want to get rid of that?
Yeah, I think that's something that there's a whole host of reasons why I think that's a poor idea. Ultimately, it was something that was attached to the bill, and we decided it's not worth losing the whole bill over. But there's some real problems with that. One, imagine for a moment that you're driving from point A to point B, and along the way you happen to be stopped by a police officer, within 1,000 feet of a school. And because you don't have a concealed carry permit under federal law, by being within 1,000 feet of a school, you're technically in violation of the law for having a handgun. Well, that law there would require you to violate your constitutional rights and have to confess to a crime. And so I think that there are concerns there, and I have a bill in actually right now to repeal that particular provision. There are some constitutional concerns there, but I know that Representative Craig Hickman spoke on the floor of the House, as an African American man who's a very progressive Democrat. He spoke. Folks who are supporting putting this clause in there don't understand what it's like to be an African American man pulled over by the police, and then the fact that you can be called guilty of a crime, not because you didn't answer a question, but because you failed to answer a question that was never asked in the first place.
Mm-hmm. I kind of want to move on. I have one last question
Sure.
on the constitutional carry thing. Do you have a gun on you right now?
No, not right now.
Okay. Do you have to answer? Do you have to tell me if you do?
No, I
Even
don't.
if I'm asked?
No,
Okay.
I don't have to.
All
You're not
right.
a law enforcement officer, and I'm not being detained, right?
Yep.